Mhm.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Young, and I'm here with Rich. I believe you're where from? Phoenix?
Tucson.
Tucson. Okay,
Mhm.
well, wonderful. And we're going to have a conversation here. And maybe you could just start out, Rich, and just tell me, some of the things that you would like to ask or some of the health challenges that you have. And maybe we could start there with you kind of just describing your lifestyle and what you're dealing with.
Okay, well, we've exchanged a couple of emails since our first call and the first email you sent me with lengthy description of the protocols and so forth. And
Okay.
most of that I've been keeping, well, shouldn't say most of it. I don't know. Maybe it's more like half of it I've been keeping up with because I haven't been able to do the colonics.
Okay.
I have not. Uh, I haven't had the money to do the
Yeah.
colonics. I'm not able to borrow money. I'm working on, and I'm pretty close to having a GoFundMe campaign ready to launch. But I've been doing the pretty well, well, very well, I would say. The the liquid feast protocols and so forth, and all the other, all the other supplements and so forth.
Okay. So what was your diagnosis?
Well, I declined to do this started back in September, early September, late
Mhm.
August, with in intestinal cramps and some bleeding and so forth after I had done a kind of an Epsom salt flush.
I
Uh,
see.
and the cramps continued for a month or so. Um, and then I don't know, it was in December that I, finally had a call with you.
Hmm.
Um, and then somewhere in that time, maybe November, so I started having edema in my legs,
I see.
uh, which is something I had before when I had Lyme disease, uh, quote unquote, had Lyme disease. Because I don't believe it's what they tell us it is. But anyway, at that time, 2006, I had the symptoms in my legs, and they
What's the
became
current status of that? I mean, are you
well.
still
It's
having?
ongoing. It's ongoing, and it's worse. My lower legs they're actually smaller now, but they're very hard.
Mhm.
The upper legs are now have the edema in them too, and it's really getting worse and difficult. It's more harder
I
for me to
see.
exercise. I can't
Are
walk
you
very far. I have
are you taking the L-arginine max 4 times a day, one scoop?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Have you noticed any improvement from that by using that
Um,
formulation?
I haven't noticed it in the legs. The thing with my legs is, and it's accompanied by, I guess you would call it neuropathy. It's a tingling.
Well, yeah, neuropathy is the same thing of poor circulation. Your blood's not flowing, your microcirculation. The purpose of taking one large scoop, which is approximately 10 to 12 grams, you do that 4 times a day religiously, not once a day, not twice, but 4 times a day. And you put it in approximately 120 mLs or 4 ounces of distilled water. It's very important that you do that. The other thing that's very important is that you get some therapeutic treatment on that, and that can be anything from lymphatic massage to elevating your feet on a chi machine that will literally make your legs go like this back and forth. But they have to be elevated to get that circulation going. But the lymphatic system is in the buildup of waste in the interstitium or the interstitial fluids. Things just aren't flowing. Until you get things flowing, it's like stagnant water, it
Yeah,
just, things break down. And when
right.
things break down, this is why you're not getting the success. You haven't broken through this circulation challenge. And the reason for the colon hydrotherapy is that you generally can't do this orally. You have to do infusions rectally to tap into the hemorrhoidal vein, which allows then a hydration to an extreme to be taken into the vascular system, and that excess is then pushed out to the interstitium organ. While you're taking the L-arginine max, while you're on a liquefied diet, while you're focusing more on green foods and green drinks, pureed. So it's very, very important that I emphasize that if we can improve your circulation, it really doesn't matter what you're eating or what supplements you take, because it can't flow. Things have to flow, just like the ocean behind me. I mean, could you imagine if the tide couldn't come in, it was blocked? I mean, it's just the ebbs and tides have to come in and go out, come in and go out. And so opening up circulation is very, very important. So if you cannot afford to do hyperperfusions using colon hydrotherapy, where you infuse up to 6 liters of fluids rectally, uh, then what you have to do is look at enemas. And enemas was described, yeah, in
Uh,
the email that I sent you.
yeah, yeah, you did. And let me say that I actually did my first enema yesterday. And I have done enemas before, and I cannot explain to myself or to you why I have not been doing them, because I got the gear. But I finally did yesterday, and I found that physically it was so difficult for me to get on the floor that, and I think I can figure out ways to do this. I may have described to you before. I live in a place where, I don't have a toilet. I have I use a composting composting bucket, and I brought that in my house, but I just made a mess because I couldn't hold it all, because I couldn't get
Hmm.
off the floor to get onto the
Yeah.
bucket quick enough. So
Yeah, well, that's a problem if you don't have a toilet. I mean, that's a
yeah,
general assumption that we
yeah,
do have, is
sure,
you have a
sure.
toilet, because if you had a toilet, then you could get a Kalemic
Come
board where you
come
could,
aboard. Yeah,
yeah, a Kalima board, which you could actually set it up. I don't know if
yeah,
you can set something up with the bucket, a chair and a bucket where you could
yeah,
actually use that. I mean, you'd have to use your imagination on
yeah,
how you
yeah.
could stabilize that, because you don't want to fall and hurt yourself. I mean,
No,
that would be problematic.
no.
But
But
uh,
curiously, I mean, when this happened, and I made a mess on the towel, and all of that, and it was very exhausting for me to do that.
mhm.
But after I was up and around, and cleaning things up, and the equipment up and so forth, I felt a noticeable kind of. I felt a little invigorated. I felt like I had
Well, you
more
do,
energy.
because your first time getting alkalinity into the blood rather than going through the alimentary canal, which is problematic in itself.
Yeah,
So you're bypassing the stomach, bypassing the duodenum, you're passing the small intestine, you're passing the large intestine. You're going right to the rectum and to the hemorrhoidal vein,
right.
and it's the most effective. Another thing you could consider is suppositories, and you can
Uh-huh.
make. I think I put a paragraph on suppositories, and you make these yourself by taking coconut oil and adding to that the salts, the L-arginine, the drops, the pH drops, the chlorophyll, and then once you make that mixture, you pour it into the ice tray. I mean, very simple. I mean, when I say ice tray, I'm not thinking of something made out of metal. I'm thinking more something that would be, more plastic oriented, where you can put that in the freezer section of your refrigerator and freeze those, and then insert that suppository rectally, anally into the rectum, and then allow that just to melt into that area and allow that to then absorb into the bloodstream.
Mhm.
Very inexpensive,
And
very,
is that like the size of an ice cube or what?
yeah, it's about the size of the ice cube, but you could find if you could find a tray a little smaller, if you have to cut them lengthwise, you can cut them in half or a quarter of them. But what happens when coconut oil hits your skin at 98.6, it immediately starts to become oil, and it slips right in.
Uh-huh. I see.
That's why you use the coconut
Yeah.
oil.
Right, right, right.
So, and it's also isn't affected in a negative way with temperature,
Mhm,
other than it solidifies. But
mhm.
that's the point. You want it to solidify so that you can then slowly, gradually make sure it doesn't have any sharp edges, by the way, but gradually,
Sure.
slowly, and you can all hold it in your hand, and you can
Mhm,
see that just by touching it, it begins to melt. But you
mhm.
want that to melt inside the rectum.
Right, right. Interesting. Let me ask you one question about the enemas. Um, do you recommend inserting while on your side or the hands and knees position?
Whatever's comfortable, where you
Uh,
can get where you can manage to allow that 1 liter bag to flow in. Usually you cannot hold a full liter, so you
Right.
have to be able to clip it off and then get onto the bucket, in your case, or toilet,
Mhm,
to relieve yourself.
mhm.
Yeah, you want to hold it as long
You
as
want to hold as long as
possible.
you, yeah,
Yeah, as
yeah,
long as possible. But as pressure builds up,
mhm,
you need to kind of gauge that you have enough time so you don't have an accident.
yeah.
And of course,
Well,
to
I did it.
avoid
Yeah,
that,
I did it on my side yesterday, and that was part of the reason I had so much trouble because in order to get up onto my hands and knees, in order to get up on the thing, I had to drag my legs under me, and that was the difficult part. But I thought it occurred to me if I start, because I think this is the way I used to do enemas when I've done your cleanses and so forth before, it was on my hands and knees.
yeah,
So that would make it easier for me to get up onto the bucket.
yeah, well, then that's the way you need to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can make myself some
And of
hand.
course, I'm not telling you what to do. These are
Yeah, I understand.
suggestions or recommendations
Right.
that you can do, because uh, these are things that you need to be comfortable with
Mhm.
as you're doing this, and only you know your body, uh,
Right.
and what you're capable of doing. So you want to make it as convenient and easy as possible. It's the most convenient and easy way to do this is to have assistance with it. And
Right.
that's where the colon hydrotherapists who do these types of things on a regular basis
Mhm.
uh, can really make a difference.
Yeah, well, I do intend to go that route, and I do intend to raise the money, and I do have my statement written for the GoFundMe thing. I wanted to ask you one thing about that. This is
You
just
know,
kind of a side thing. Um, when I said what I was doing, basically, I was not real specific. I said I had a serious health challenge
yeah,
and
that's fine.
that I was going to take a natural health route, and that I said Medicare doesn't cover most procedures that I want to do at this point, and an internationally known naturopathic practitioner has been consulted, and a plan of action has been prescribed. Is that something that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think is
that's
all right?
fine. I mean, it's there's a lot of generous hearts out there that care
Mhm.
about their brothers and sisters, and they have resources, and they just are trying to find someone who is seriously in need of help, which you are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why we're having this conversation.
Right. Right. Um, when um, when the funds are available to that, what will be the what will we have, a three-way call or something with the colon hydrotherapist?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we
I
could do
think
that.
she had to move, and I think she's got her office set up now. And generally speaking, she seems agreeable to do, the implants and you know,
Sure, not a problem. Yeah, I'm happy to help you, and also to help her understand what needs to be done.
right.
Okay.
I'm also I've also been I have a friend who's got a Rife machine, so I've been doing Rife treatments pretty regular basis, 4 or 5 times a week.
Hmm.
Do you think that's, I know you've talked about it in your book, Sick and Tired, or at least
Yeah, well,
you
Rife machines, of course, is emitting, different variable or different frequencies to deal with specific conditions, of which is more of a allopathic type of mindset where you're actually trying to treat through breaking down, let's say, matter that has formed in an irregular way, a mutation, or it may be a mass or a tumor. Uh, if those are specifically directed, of course, that can be very helpful because it's indiscriminate. That particular frequency of what you choose is indiscriminate to other tissue that's healthy, that may be next to that. So you have to kind of direct that frequency on the area of the body. What I prefer is to naturally raise the life force energy through a plant-based diet, alkalizing compounds and salts that are common within the body, such as sodium bicarbonate or potassium bicarbonate, uh,
Mhm.
i.e., the electrolytes, in order to restore the environment of which the Rife machine is directed more on the matter. So, rather than focus on the biological aspects of your physicality, the idea is to change the internal environment or the terrain of which then those biological aspects of your body, the physicality parts, can alter and adjust uh, and adapt to this healthy environment. And of course, the
Right.
the the Rife machine, you know, here again is an allopathic mindset, which is a kill mindset. Is this something has invaded your body, or this is not environmental problem, but it's a specific problem that can then metastasize to other parts of the body, which is really not doesn't represent the truth. The truth is that any cancerous condition is a systemic problem that localizes at the weakest part of the body. And cancer is not a disease of the tissues, it's an acidic condition of the fluids of the body, of which cannot be mediated by the Rife machine.
Right. I get it. Well, as I'm hearing you say that, it occurs to me, because it takes me, by the time I get ready and drive over there and sit on the machine for half an hour and hold on to it, and
Yeah,
occurs to me I'd be better off staying home and doing the enema infusion, no matter
yeah,
how difficult it is
yeah,
for me.
absolutely. You'd actually be better walking over there and walking back.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
exercise would be of more value, because that's what you have to. The body's meant to move,
Right.
and if fluids aren't moving, they become stagnant.
Right.
And it's about circulation.
Hmm.
Circulation equals percolation.
Yeah.
That's why when you added more fluid into the rectum, which was taken up by the hemorrhoidal vein, that created more hydration, which helped create more circulation and percolation. But you have to break open these areas of these blockages. And that's where, infrared sauna, that's where colon hydrotherapy, that's where the lymphatic massages, this is where the colon hydrotherapy, these are non-invasive, non-medical treatments
Right.
from not the disease, not
Right.
treating any specific disease.
Mhm.
We're actually trying to improve circulation to reverse the dis-ease, which is then manifesting as a symptom of that dis-ease, which can only be there if the body's waste is not being properly eliminated through the 4 channels of elimination.
Right.
Okay, so you
Well, I have to
understand.
tell you, I have to tell you, I've gotten very creative about telling people when they ask me, what do you have? What diagnosis do you have? And I've had to, explain to them that, your diagnosis, if you want to call it that, or what you have said to me, is the equivalent of, a medical doctor saying to me such and such, in terms of how somebody's going to take it serious. And so that's been an interesting thing because, everybody wants that medical diagnosis. But when you tell me I have uncompensated diagnosis and or auto intoxication and some of the
Yeah, I mean,
things
I
you
can,
said to me,
I
I
can.
know what that means.
No, I don't mean to use a descriptive word, and my intention's not to shock anyone. But,
I get that. Yeah.
but it's, being perfectly clear, your condition is I live in too much shit disease.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, so there's no treatment for that in the medical world
No.
other than change your lifestyle and diet, but you don't come to those conclusions by going to medical school. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know.
My discoveries would have never happened.
Yeah.
I would have been on a different path, would have never happened. The reversal of cancer and other serious health challenges, those discoveries and how to reverse them would have never happened if I'd gone to medical school.
I get it. Mhm.
It's not like I can't go to medical school. I attempted to several times and was stopped by people that love and care me. In fact, there were doctors. You know what one of them said to me? You would not survive the residency. He says,
Right.
you would be just the way you are. You'd be questioning, which I did and have and continue to do, question the validity and the scientific efficacy of what's happening in critical care. He says you would survive. And because you're not a conformist. And it's not like I don't want to be. I said, I really want to be, I really want to get along. I said, but I can't be doing things that don't make sense. And that's the number one sickness that people suffer from. Listen to me, lack of common sense. Forget this viral stuff. Forget this cancer stuff. You've got more brain cells in your gut than you do in your head. So start trusting your core. Start trusting your core feelings. And stop listening to all the confusion and BS that's coming out of people that are really suffering from a condition called ignorance.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you.
So am I a heretic? Am I a quack? I mean, that's how they have to label them because they can't attack me scientifically. And this is not about me, this is about you, but you brought up the question you know, that you're talking to other people. And when you start talking like this, because of their own disease and their own desires to want to be labeled and but put in a nice little box, the Lyme's box, the cancer box, the AIDS box, the viral box. You need to break out of your boxes and realize that there are no diseases, there are no sicknesses. What you experience are symptoms of not taking out the trash. And it's building up in your own house of health, polluting the internal environment. And the car, if you relate it as an analogy to a car, the car is honking and you're not listening. So, you know, this is what you need to do is you need to listen very closely to your innate intelligence. I don't need to be telling you this. You already know it. I'm just reminding you. Okay? Yeah. Your innate intelligence knows, and it's speaking to you, but apparently you don't, not you, I'm saying others, you're listening, aren't listening to what their body's telling them. Okay? So the body's honking. Wake up. You know, wake up. Stop it. Stop polluting the internal environment of your body. And if you can't get rid of the waste, then you will be sick. But this is how simple it is. You do not have to get a medical degree, and you do not have to subject yourself to stinking thinking when you already have the intelligence within if you were just listening. So there is a solution to the pollution. And the solution to the pollution was amplified. I don't know if you're still hearing me.